There's this group of school principals and head teachers that I have been training for some time. I remember in one of the sessions, this one particular head teacher was like really upset, and when the group asked her that what's going on for her, she narrated an incident to us. She said that she had visited some educational conference, and the state governor addressed one of her colleagues as a cow. And she said that there were so many people in the audience, but nobody uttered a word, and yet she could feel some tension in the room, and she was feeling a lot of tension in her body, and she was experiencing a lot of anger. So quite some time, she kind of kept quiet. She didn't say anything, and yet she kind of felt like this pressure that was building in. And in the midst of the governor's speech, she just interrupted him and said that, I'm kind of angry with you for the kind of language that you use towards my colleague, and I think that's extremely misogynistic, and I don't think that's okay. And she kept yelling at him because she was obviously very angry. And when we asked her what happened after that, she said that one of her trust leaders walked up to her and asked her to calm down. And then everybody was looking at her in a way as if she'd done something wrong. And then as she was narrating that, she just started crying, and she's like, Anisha, I'm just so upset that the governor could get away by calling a respectable school principal cow, and nobody had an objection to that, and they were telling me, they were kind of tone policing me and telling me how I should talk. So I am quite disgusted, and I'm feeling hopeless that anything is ever going to change. As I was listening to her, I somehow had this sense that I'd heard this principal say something similar even before, and I told her that, hey, listen, this sounds like deja vu. I kind of have a memory where you have shared similar instances before, where something happens, you get angry, and the way you express your anger, that the baby gets thrown away with the bathwater. She took a pause and said, yeah, there is truth to that, Anisha. Sometimes I feel that I dig my own grave. I think that I'm right, but I'm never just heard. People just don't hear me. I reflected back saying that, yeah, I'm imagining that must be highly frustrating. And yet, what I'm surprised about is that, to my mind, you're a very bright woman. And if something is happening repeatedly in your life, how come you're sticking to the same old strategies? How come you're not trying anything different? She took a pause and she said, I don't know, Anisha, what happens to me, but I just feel this intensity, and I just feel this such anger that I have to wear it out. And I said, what if I encourage you to become a little more curious about that intensity that you experience in that moment when he used that word? What was really going on for you? What were some of your thoughts? She said, Anisha, first I was shocked, and then I was like, oh my God, why is nobody saying anything? I kept looking around, and I thought like people were looking back at me. And like there's a part of me that didn't want to utter a word, because I feel that I just get set up to, be this voice of dissent and take on other people's battles. So parts of me were also scared that, oh my God, I will end up saying something and then people will again dislike me. And yet over a period of time, that pressure was so high that I just ended up yelling. In what I'm hearing from you, it looks like there were multiple feelings that you were feeling. There was shock, there was anger, there was fear, and looks like somehow the angry part of you had more voice than the other two parts. And would you be willing to slow down and look at what's possibly going on there? And that's the time when she just started crying, and she said, Nisha, I've spent my life swinging like a pendulum. I either over accommodate and, then just not say when I see things are going wrong, I just keep quiet. And that time I hate myself. And then there are other moments like when I just get like so angry that I just blast and yell, and then people think I'm a bitch. And again, then I don't like myself. So one of the other women in the group reflected back to her that it seems like you're giving yourself only two choices, that you can either over accommodate or you kind of have to blast. And that's the time she took a pause again, and she said, yeah, because my experiences have taught me that I won't be heard till I don't raise my volume. That's the only way that I can be heard as a woman. Otherwise, I will just be discounted. And I said, so when you raise your volume, does your anger get accounted for? What happens? And she said, no, it's like I'm coming in my own way. So I invited her to be a little gentle with herself and honor how that angry part of her was taking over her behavior, because it really wanted her to be heard and it really wanted her to have some power in that situation. And as we were discussing the process of this particular school principal, I think all the other head teachers and school principals also started reflecting on how sometimes they themselves get stumped and completely dominated by certain parts in their personality, many a times at the cost of other parts of their personality not getting a chance to come out. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you all, friends, is to kind of invite you all into thinking, what parts of your personality are dominating your behavior? Do you find difficulty accessing your self-energy? Do you struggle with being aware of those parts of your personality that probably do not have a loud voice? Are there any ways in which you can manage to keep yourself in this self-energy so that you can choose to speak about your parts without becoming your parts?